Dhamma is bringing harm, you know, and wholesomeness is good, but of course it's nothing in the control of anyone. So well, right. So maybe Tanajan could say something about that, how to live, you know, like to. I know that's anatanes, that's the most important understanding, but maybe something about kusala Ajahn Sujin could say, and avoiding unwholesomeness in life, you know, to live.
I don't think Ajahn is here quite yet. Is Ajahn here yet, Kunim?
A minute, wait a minute.
Yes, I think we have to just wait a moment. So maybe we just wait a moment and then start it again.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, Betty.
Hello, Betty.
How are you? How's it going in Hong Kong? You still on lockdown?
Yes.
We're still in quarantine. Yeah.
Yeah, quarantine. I know. I think we're going to have it here soon. It's already, a lot of things are closed already, but I think we're going to have quarantine at home. Except
You mean lockdown?
You're about day
lockdown.
16.
Not quarantine, lockdown. Yeah. How much longer do you have to go with quarantine?
This in the quarantine hotel another week, one more week, under 1 week. Yes.
You still have your old apartment?
Sorry?
Do you still have your old apartment?
Next Saturday we'll be there. Yes.
Oh, you still have your old apartment. That's good.
Next week we'll be out. We get out on Friday morning.
Yeah. Oh, that's good that you know. I'm still leery about the shots. You know, the vaccines that are coming out. Anyway. Hi, Nina. Microphone.
Oh, yeah, I put it on.
How are things going? How are things going?
Oh, we have a lockdown for a few weeks.
Sorry?
Lockdown.
Oh, you're on lockdown. Okay.
Like in Germany, the same.
Ah. Yeah, it's really spreading in Europe nowadays. Oh, this is terrible. Yeah. So can you go shopping for food, or you have food brought in and supplies?
Oh, yes, the necessary shops are open. That's okay, yeah.
Oh,
No
yeah,
problem.
same.
No problem.
We'll go out if we have to go to the supermarket or the doctor. Or
I don't go myself. It's all delivered.
Yeah. We're waiting for Tanajan.
สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะ I'm here now.
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์
Thank you.
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
สวัสดีครับ สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีท่านอาจารย์ค่ะ
Lucas, you can start again with your question because it's a good one to start with. Now Ajahn is here.
All right, thank you, Sarah, for giving me a voice. That's a question to Tanajan. So the question is that I wonder the last days, because in life is wholesomeness and unwholesomeness, and of course there is a right understanding here to be developed. And I wonder if Tanajan can say a bit about how to lead the life, yes, and if we talk about Dhammatipataya, yes. So because I know this unwholesomeness is harmful. Yeah, Buddha says it's harmful, and the wholesomeness is to be developed, yeah, because or appreciated, because wholesomeness is leads to parami, and even wholesomeness, I think, leads to the right understanding, yeah, someday. So I would like Ajahn Sujin maybe tell more about that topic, you know, and right understanding of anatta. Thank you.
Okay. Would you like to have wholesomeness or understanding?
Tan Ajahn, I think I would like to have both, you know.
Is there you? This is the question.
No, Tan Ajahn. Yes, I feel the idea. Everyone feels, yeah, idea of I.
The more there is the understanding of Dhamma, the more there is less and less the idea of self. But otherwise, it's also always the self all the time. Just like now, exactly the same. Seeing is me, hearing is me, everything is me. But actually, from the first word we heard from the teaching, all dhammas are anatta, no one, no self. And this is the point of understanding the teaching of the Buddha, little by little, to be sankhara dhamma, to condition moment of understanding. So what is now? It's just that which arises and performs its function. No one can be there. Otherwise, there must be wholesomeness as I, from life to life, no understanding of what is now. And as long as there is the idea of self, can there be more and more wholesomeness? Or more and more akusala? So it's not just
Rather
wanting.
more akusala.
So
no, it's not wanting. No, not only.
So the only way is understanding, not me at all. Otherwise, I understand. I think I have more wholesomeness, but actually, what is this moment? Dhamma is now. Otherwise, when one says, one begins to understand Dhamma, only the word. What about the nature of that which is now appearing? That which is seen is not a seeing. See, no one there at all. This is the development of understanding Dhamma as no self to lead to the moment of enlightenment, truth of any moment, just like this moment, conditioned, no one there. Otherwise, it's not the right point of listening to the teachings. What for? To have more kusala? Or to understand that actually, from life to life, they are all dhammas, no one there at all, even right now. Not any moment can be taken for self. Otherwise, there must be the thinking about the teachings, the words only. But from hearing and considering carefully the subtlety of reality, which even it now appears, no one knows it as it is. So we talk more and more about this moment. Even we say that seeing is nama, that which experiences an object, but at any moment it's I who see. So there can be the understanding, the depth, the subtlety of Dhamma, that it arises and falls away right now. No need to look for the next moment or at the moment at all. But Panya is not enough. That's why without hearing more, considering each word which represents each reality, it's the only way. No one now. Dhamma is so close, so near, not far away at all. To understand Dhamma is understanding what appears now, little by little. And no one develops at all. It's the understanding of each moment. Condition accumulated little by little. Is this kusala, the understanding?
Tanajan, of course, this is a kusala, the best kusala.
That's why whenever there is understanding, no need to think about other kusala. All depends on conditions, how much one understands from the book. but still there are conditions for akusala. It's there to be object of studying and learning more about the truth, that no one can make it arise. It's already conditioned. No need to go to anywhere, to any place to try to do something, because even that moment is done by the self, not understanding the nature that it's conditioned, different moment to moment, from life to life. So when
Right.
okay, please.
Yes, Tanajan, that's true. That's true, because the most important is actually the right understanding, and as you always say to us, understanding of anattaness, and that's the biggest kusala I think we can have in life.
So Panya begins to understand how subtlety it is of each reality, no matter its rupa, that which cannot experience, or that which it now experiences, each moment. So many things unknown, but Buddha had enlightened the truth of each. So from hearing, considering, learning to understand the truth little by little, as know me, this is the highest point, the enlightened moment, to understand the absolute truth of each moment. So one can understand how much understanding one has developed from this moment. Otherwise, it's not enough, never enough at all, until time comes by conditions. Like Sariputta, he didn't know it's been accumulated. It's conditioned right then by conditions, showing the anothernness, the absolute truth, that is not anyone who can do. But from this moment, only one moment of understanding is developing. By Sankhara-Dhamma, no one, until the understanding of no one, because it is citta or cittasika or attachment or whatever it is, conditioned, no need to do anything, but the understanding from hearing can begin to develop, understanding that little by little, not by anyone, but by conditions. So understanding each word as it is, as a self, is the best moment of life. No one. And this is the point of understanding or learning the teachings. And this develops already by conditions, little by little. When it's firm confidence on the truth, it conditions more viriya and khanti and satya and adhidana to lead to the moment of understanding more and more, little by little. The most difficult is not by anyone. So life goes on depending on how much understanding can understand that moment, as one has heard so much to understand little by little. One cannot rush to attain enlightenment instantly at all. Impossible, because from morning up to now, how many moments of akusala, from life to life, from day to day. That's why we can see the great benefit of understanding only that reality, which is conditioned from hearing and considering, can bring about such understanding of just understanding. Nothing to do, because there's no one, no self. Otherwise, the confidence of the anattana is not strong enough.
Even there is no understanding at the moment. That's still ignorance, and this also is to be understood as anatta, isn't it, Ajahn?
Because you see that when one says that I understand Dhamma, how much understanding of what is there now. See, it's not firm enough yet to directly experience that which is now arising and falling with so rapidly. unexpectedly, never be shown to ignorance, because there is attachment to whatever is there. So it closes or it covers up the truth that we like so much, or we hate so much, or whatever is there, gone completely. When we dream, there can be the understanding moment when we wake up that it's a dream, only a dream. It's not the actual seeing or thinking or experience anything at all. It's only memory of thoughts and the thinking moment. So at moment of waking up, one understands that it's not true, it's not real. So this life is just like that until the understanding is there to understand the words of truth, the absolute truth, that it cannot be changed at all. It's so true. And only Panya, understanding, can understanding little by little and leave it to Sankhara Dhamma, as there cannot be anyone at all. No one can do anything because actually they are Dhammas. Otherwise, one cannot see the precious moment of understanding now that it is developing from moment to moment by conditions unknown. We don't know how much it can condition what moment of understanding directly, little by little. And this is the confidence of Dhamma as anatta, no self. Otherwise, we just say that all are Dhammas. But what Dhamma? I am saying what Dhamma? I'm hearing what Dhamma say. Just the word, but not the confidence of the truth of each reality that is conditioned. Just like now, we're talking, but what condition seeing? Can anyone making seeing to arise? But it's there all the time while one thinking or doing something, anytime. All are covered up by ignorance, not understanding the truth of each one, just one by one. Otherwise, they're all there together. It cannot be understood clearly when they are together. But learn from hearing that they are not the same, but there are conditions for them to arise together. And depending on each other by different conditions. And this is accumulated already, not by you or anyone. But when there is more hearing about that, no doubt about the truth at level of intellectual understanding, which will condition moment of direct awareness unknowingly of what object at any moment, unknown, or by conditions, to have and more confidence on no one there at all. From this moment, see, it can develop from what, when it appears as different realities, like seeing, it's not that which is seen, little by little, so very little, because it's covered from moment to moment so long, in eons and eons ago. So just live easily, take it easy by conditions. That's the confidence of Dhamma as not self. But learn more to understand more why it's not self. How can it be? How can it not be I? Because there is I, he or she all around, all the time. How fast life goes on from moment to moment, unknowingly, just like a dream, from life to life, never wake up yet.
But Ajahn, even the moment I am understanding, this is a moment of mana, isn't it?
Okay, do you have to think that I am understanding?
Not at all, but it's still the feeling that way, that it's me, yeah, that understands.
So how do you know that from what moment it is you?
Well, that's, I don't know from what moment, no.
It is not known yet, but from learning about
Right.
asava, see, asava. That's why it seems like there is a feeling of I all the time because of the asava. 3 moments after seeing, it's there. So when there's no seeing, no I yet. But even 3 moments after seeing, the idea of I, the diddhasava, avijjasava is there. Already 7 moments, see? And this is the way of Dhamma. No one can change it. But the understanding is developed as all akusala dhammas, the anusayas are there, and the asaya or kusala are there as well. But it depends on what condition this moment to be. Because we can understand it right now, but after this, even a moment is gone, but it's there, accumulated, unknown. That's why we cannot know how much characteristic we have accumulated, how much tendency have been accumulated. But when times come, they are there differently from moment to moment by different accumulation of asaya and anusaya. As long as there's still reminding about one's own understanding, it's conditioned for have more I to cling to. That's why the lopa is the second noble truth. When it's not known, it cannot be eradicated. Right now, there are things, people, or atta. So before there can be the moment of understanding of whatever it is by conditions, no selection, direct awareness is that different from hearing and understanding right now, but not direct understanding of seeing when we talk about seeing. See, this is the difference to indicate their anattaness.
Because there is difference in between ditti and mana, isn't it?
Again, please.
Because Tanajan, there is a difference in between a ditti, wrong view, and mana, conceit, isn't it?
Right. That's why if there is no hearing about these two, how can we know the difference? But there can be ditti after 3 moments of seeing. It's not mana, but it's ditthasava. I comes first.
Why is not mana asava?
In the day,
No mana asava, isn't it?
or in the day, can there be any moment you can understand mana? And how many moments are ditti?
Ditti?
The difference between ditti and mana. Does mana always all the time? Not as asva at all, but ditti is asva. And it can be understood in a day. At moment of waking up, it's so pleasant. See, even nothing is there as object of sight or sound yet, but I is there. The pleasantness, the feeling is there. See, diddhasava comes in unknown, and there can be doubt about that. Sometimes when the pleasant feeling is so great, never as that before, there is doubt. What is that? The I is there. So it has doubt about that object as something, as I. So everything in life, if it's not known as it is, clearly it cannot eradicate the idea of self, which is so very deep and so very subtle. That's why, no doubt, how can there be the idea of self from moment of waking up? It's there. And depending on conditions, the accumulation of different person, different moments, we cannot know what will next, what will be next, or what would be next moment after sleeping. When one wakes up, what is that very moment? See, no expectation, cannot be expected, cannot be known now. It's known when it's there only. So what is known now, can be known now, must be this very moment only. From hearing and considering to understand that the best thing, the most precious moment is the understanding of the truth, even from hearing, which can be conditioned for direct understanding when time comes because of more understanding of the profundity, the subtlety of reality as it is, unexpectedly.
So literally, Ajahn, every moment can be understood as anatta and more, yeah?
Not from me, but from understanding. So we can understand just one word clearer and better. For example, letting go. When one thinks about, I don't understand this, and I would like to understand this, and I here to understand it for myself, see, not for who, not for no one, for the sake of understanding only, because there is the idea of self. So very, very clean too.
Dhammatipataya, isn't it? Dhammatipataya.
That's why, how can there be the understanding? Not at the moment, but only this moment. Understand what? Understand what Buddha said about it. It is there, experiencing. No self, no one arising. Otherwise, there cannot be anything appear at all. Little by little, no craving for, I would like to understand very quickly, to experience it directly so soon. It's impossible. That's why one begins to understand what's meant by parami. And each moment it's this parami unknown, when it's the understanding. And the moment of understanding, it's not me. It understands, even it's gone. But once it's there, no one can take it away. But the conditions for akusala, so much condition, many moments, much more than kusala in a day, in one's life. That's why it takes time to let go from the very beginning. It does mean that now I cannot let it go, but later, when there are conditions, the condition is now this moment. Without the understanding of this moment, no condition for letting go anything at all. So letting go at moment of hearing, that just listen to understand, only for the sake of understanding, because what is better, what is more valuable, what is more worthy, understanding or no understanding, the truth of this moment.
Ajahn, I'm not sure whether
I cannot hear you yet.
can you hear me now?
No, only the sound, no question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, I'm not sure whether I understood you correctly. I heard you said before that a moment after the three moments there is an idea of self or I that is an asava
Yes.
ditti rather than the mana. Am I right?
Can all akusala cetasika be asava? Or only some? Can all akusala cetasika be anusaya? Only some or all? See? And who knows? The moment is there, when even it's there, no understanding. So it's so quickly After seeing, there is no understanding. Is that right? This moment, there is seeing, and after that, no understanding of seeing, and that which appears, that is asava. Kamasava, Pavasava, Tittasava, Avijjasava. See, not even there is mana yet. The ditti is there, the avijja is there already before there can be ditti, mana later.
So when can mana come in after that?
Can you understand any cetasika right now? As
No.
Cetana? See, so how can there be the understanding of mana? Just wanting to know. But it's not ditti, because ditti is the wrong understanding of that which appears, which is nothing, just that which arises and falls away. But misunderstanding or no understanding and wrong understanding is there, taking it for something immediately. Tittasava and avijjasava. If there is something heard, there is, what's that? See, not understanding of what is what and what is that. And what is that which wants to know? What is that? See, many realities are conditioned, unknown. But Buddha taught about the difference of the different degrees of akusala, and among these akusala, what is what? What can be what? Mana cannot be asava yet, because when it's there, it's not like that's when you don't know what is there. But you know that that is something which is not unpleasant, different from dosa, because of the clinging to the idea of self, as it hasn't been eradicated yet. But even the idea of self is completely eradicated, there's still the clinging to mana. Who knows? But Panya knows already. No wrong understanding about that. So even just the word nama and rupa, it's only that which is heard, and understanding the difference between of the two words and the difference between two meanings. But what about the difference of reality, like seeing and that which is seen? Without that which is seen, can there be seeing? Without seeing, can there be that which is seen? But no understanding of that as different realities yet. And who knows? The Buddha's enlightenment. Each word comes from his enlightenment. It's so true at any moment, any time, any reality now. It has to be just now, because everything is gone immediately, unknowingly, all the time. When there's no understanding of not self, not me yet. But when there's more understanding of it cannot be taken for I, it's conditioned to arise, to see, just to see, cannot do other things at all, just to arise, to see, and then gone completely. See, no one can hold it, no one can make it stay. No, so how can there be ignorance of liking it so much, clinging to it so much without understanding only? That's why the lopa is the second noble truth of our stages of enlightenment, of different degrees of clinging. It's now, this moment, see? Not knowing what is there yet. So how can it condition mana? What? Just at once.
Thank you. This is very deep for me.
Always, even one word, and only Panya can understand this subtlety of reality, as Buddha said. All Dhammas are so very, very, very deep and subtle.
Also, I would like to ask you another question. I often hear you said that it comes and goes straight away, disappear straight instantly. So because it disappear instantly, how can there be an object of understanding for direct awareness or direct understanding? If there is an object of understanding, there must be something. Then this contradicting with the idea it comes and then disappear instantly.
From hearing at the very beginning that what is there is not self, arises and falls away in split seconds, so deep. That's why we have to think, is that which is seen is like, or as it true, arising and falling away. Otherwise, how can there be different shape and form, just only a touch on the paper, just a dot, see, just moment, only one moment of experiences object. But before there can be that, there must be other moments before, like Pavanka Chitta, and then Vachana Chitta, no matter is Panchadvara Vachana or Manodvara Vachana, and then there can be moment of seeing, only one moment. But now, how many moments? We didn't experience the arising and falling of anything because that which has fallen away conditioned the next one instantly, immediately, so rapidly. What is seen is a shape and form already. But you can take it into a small piece, just break it up, see, into just very tiny piece. What is that? A tree or a pot or a chair or what? Because now all shape and form are not broken up yet, so they appear together, but without any thing arises or any reality arises, how can they be such shape and form? And how come to be that? So each word should be considered. As it's so true, can it be directly experienced? Otherwise, how can one have confidence of such truth, such word that is true? And the word doesn't come from thinking or considering. It comes from the enlightenment of the one who had accumulated parami enough to have such moment. When he was born, he didn't realize that he would be that person who would be enlightened. But by conditions, everything by conditions, whatever arises. So learning to have firm and more confidence on the truth will bring about a little letting go from that very moment.
Yes,
Otherwise,
thank you very much, Ajahn. Yep, thank you.
so the point of listening is not just to remember the words, but to understand what is meant by such word. It's now at this moment so very close, so close that it is the blind who cannot see what is there at all.
Just to come back to Lucas's question again briefly, and his question about how to live. We often think about how to live our lives, and we know that kusala is good and akusala is harmful. But as soon as there's an idea of how should I live, what should I do, it's not the understanding of Dhamma, because it's the idea that somehow I can choose how to live. I can select to have more kusala. I can somehow avoid the akusala, when in fact life at this moment are just different moments of kusala, kusala, vipaka, kiriya, chitas, each one conditioned completely unexpectedly. No one can select whether at this moment there will be kusala or akusala citas. No matter how much we hear about the value of panya, no one can make it arise. And however much we hear about the danger of lobha, no one can stop it arising when it's time, because it's been accumulated and conditioned to arise. So thinking about how can I live, it's not the way to understand what appears right now. And when Panya begins to understand dhammas more and more as anatta, it doesn't mind what the object is, no matter it's seeing or hearing or anger or strong lobha, just a dhamma which arises and passes away instantly. And it's only the understanding that leads to more confidence and more courage to really face the truth at just this moment, and the confidence that it is the understanding now that leads to more wholesomeness, but not by wishing to have it, trying to have it, expecting to have it, but just by the nature of the development of understanding, very slowly and unexpectedly. And it depends on accumulations, whether strong anger will arise next or lobha or whatever it is. But however life unfolds, they are just dhammas that pass away, and what's gone is completely gone. No point fussing about it. So the answer to having more wholesomeness, less unwholesomeness, it has to just be the understanding at this moment. And the understanding understands whatever it is that appears. Only understanding knows whether it is metta or attachment at this moment, whether it is compassion or akusala concern at this moment. So it is the confidence that life is just at this moment, nothing that I can do. And that's why from the very beginning, there has to be the understanding of dhammas as anatta, not trying to have more goodness or trying to avoid badness, because it will never work. It will just lead to disappointment, because what one would like is not the way it will unfold. And Tam Tan, on your question about what has gone instantly, how can it be known? The visible objects fallen away instantly. Countless visible objects have fallen away instantly, but the sign or the nimitta is left that can be the object of understanding. So when we talk about the understanding of visible object, actually it's the understanding of the sign of visible object, the characteristic of visible object that can be understood directly right now. But I think in the beginning, what's important is to just understand that it is visible object that is seen now, and there can be understanding right now of what is seen. Because if we think too much, well, how is it possible and how can it happen? It's a distraction from just understanding what appears at this very moment.
But Sarah, isn't the understanding of the sign when nimitta is the object, even that has actually already fallen too?
I don't think the nimitta at the moment that it is experienced at that moment, and then no more experience of it, and it's gone. But at the moment of understanding, it is the understanding at that very instant of the nimitta, the sign of the visible object. The visible object has fallen away, but the sign is there too as object of understanding.
But when there's understanding, it's also understanding that the reality has fallen away. So if it's not fallen away,
So when it is the understanding of visible object, no matter we call it visible object or the sign of visible object, it's just that reality which appears. And it's not yet the understanding of the arising and falling away of visible object, because that's a higher level of understanding. But even then, it is the sign of the visible object that has fallen away. So the understanding develops to understand more and more clearly about the nature of visible object.
But even when it's the understanding at the higher level, it's still the same object.
It's
It's
still
just
the
same.
characteristic of the visible object, but more and more clearly, more and more precisely to
With more
understand the
understanding.
arising and falling away of that reality.
And at that moment, isn't it
Still
that
the sign of the rising and falling away of the reality. It's still the nimitta even then. It's the nimitta of the arising and falling away of the visible object at that moment. So it's a nimitta of that reality that appears, but more and more clearly as it really is.
Sarah, understanding the nimitta clearer, you mean?
Understanding the nimitta of the reality, the nimitta of the visible object or whatever reality it is. So the reality is understood more and more precisely. The characteristic of the reality is understood more and more precisely. In the beginning, when there is the understanding of visible object, the arising and falling away of visible object is not known. But when that understanding develops and is clearer and clearer, then it understands the arising and falling away of the visible object.
Right, thank you.
And
your original question was, if I'm not mistaken, you want to know how there could be understanding of just one reality that has fallen away. And I think the answer to that is that the understanding itself is also just a momentary reality. So that's how it happens. But when understanding begins to develop, it will seem as if there are many moments of the reality because they rise and fall away very rapidly, and that is the nimitta effect. But it is the function of panya as a mental factor, a momentary mental factor, to understand the true nature of another reality.
like you said, it's very deep. Every topic is very deep. That's why it's good to just discuss one word at a time, because it is very deep. Like asava, these are the very subtle kinds of attachment, wrong view, and ignorance that arise even in the sense door process after seeing and after hearing and so on, the akusala citta, even in that idle process, but completely unknown. So it just shows how quickly the attachment or the wrong view or the ignorance comes in, even at that time. But not yet the mana that, for example, is comparing or finding oneself important with conceit yet.
Thank you, very interesting. Thank you.
And Lucas, anything more about on that point that I mentioned about when there's the idea of how to live and the deep-rooted idea that somehow I can do something. Anything else on that topic?
Actually, I've got my answer for now, and I'm happy with that, because I think, like, I agree 100% that the understanding especially of anattanas in the beginning, must be the most important wholesomeness, because without right understanding, there is, what's the point of living, you know, or having more kusala, you know, with no understanding. So my question had been answered. So I will listen, you know, so more. So anyone maybe can raise their topic, you know, and thank you.
Thanks, Lucas. Yeah.
Ajahn, can I ask a question? The teaching on nimitta, how are we to understand it? Why do we need to understand about nimitta?
Okay. I would like to ask Lucas first about how to live. What about how to see? Is it the same question? Or no doubt about how to see?
Tanajan, I think in Poland you said in the bus that like you said that don't care anything, just seeing, you know, like I don't remember it clearly, but it was something like to live, you know, just see and don't care anything else, you know, something like that. So,
but what about how to see if you think about how to live?
of course, that must be connected, life and seeing
See,
somehow.
that's right. It is the idea of self so very deeply to think about so many things in life, how to do, how to be good, how to have more understanding, always how. But it's not the understanding. That's why it cannot let go the idea of I, even from hearing. That's why from understanding the words of the truth about this moment will condition moment of letting go, even the question about how to live, because it's by conditions all the time. No matter what, no matter what, no matter you'd like it to be or not to be. That's why conditions the most important, because it will condition what would be next in life. Not no one at all. Not I can live and I can make it how to at all. That is a firm confidence on no I. Because even you think that there is I, but what happens? It's not by yourself, by your thought, by your thinking or your wish at all, but by conditions. That's why the right understanding only can let go. Wrong understanding from hearing and considering not wisely as it's still something, but from hearing no thing should be developed or cultivated on and on and on, and it's so firm. And then there is no doubt, even the time comes like so very bad situation, COVID or anything, they are all dhammas and nothing can disturb. See, instead of how to live, it's still I, but it cannot be by your your thought or your wishes at all, but by understanding. It is not I, it's conditioned. Even you don't like it, even you don't have idea or thinking about to see this or that, but it's there already. See, this is letting go the idea of I would like to know how to live. See, it's so very deep. That's why it should be more and more understanding of Dhamma as Dhamma. And Kun Sukin's question about the truth of that which is Rupa and Nama as it is, right? Not as it appears now. Please ask again.
Yes, my question is, because I do not understand nimitta, I would like to know how it helps to know about nimitta.
Can you separate moments of citta right now?
No.
Without seeing, can there be idea of something is seen later? as the seeing?
No.
So it appears to ignorance or to more letting go little by little.
When you ask whether seeing is different from thinking about concepts based on seeing, there is some understanding of the difference.
Very little or very clear?
Very little, very little.
That's not enough to know the difference, because you see that by way of viticitta, when seeing falls away, it cannot be understanding straightforward, right? It has to be many moments, many processes. That's why when it appears as the whole characteristic which arises and falls away, like seeing now. There is not just seeing what we think, there is always seeing, but there must be moments of sampajichanasana and so on by processes. See, it's the same, that as soon as it appears, because of the rapidity of the arising and falling away, it appears something. Even it's not the word or the shape yet, but it's something, see? When it's broken up into a very little tiny thing, it's something, again, not a tree, not a yet. And that is the nimitta, less than that.
So what you're saying is that if it was only one moment, it would be impossible to recognize anything as something. It's
So,
because there's many moments of seeing and visible object, experiencing visible object, that there can be the idea of something.
And so many things together, like one citta with many cetasikas, what can be known and what is not the object of understanding yet. Only no selection by conditions. Just think about only the moment of seeing. It cannot be a chair or anything at all. It is only that which is seen. The characteristic of that which cannot experience is there. So just the word nama and rupa is only word when it does not appear as that which cannot experience. It's that just to be seen. And it's seen only that. There is the more understanding of what's meant by that which is seen. We have to keep on only that which is seen, nothing in it.
So it is good to know that when we talk about any reality, it is not just one reality that is understood whenever it is understood. It is actually of many of that same.
That's why we begin to know that we live in the world of sign or nimitta, or in one's life, from life to life.
Ajahn, is that because of the khandha, the function of khandha?
What khandha?
And you know the khandha.
What khandha?
It group together of the seeing to produce the nimitta.
Is a reality a khandha?
Reality is a khandha.
Only
no.
one. Why not?
No.
Why? That is not understanding.
It has to be many realities together to be khandha.
Say it again, please.
So it has to be many realities grouped together to become khandha.
No.
Am I right?
No. Whatever arises and falls away, the past, future, and previous one, not many things, just only one, which arises is a khandha. Whatever arises is khandha. So each Dhamma is a khandha. This is by one way of the word to represent or to talk about various the variety of Dhamma by different way. But by way of khanda, it's not all to come together and then it's a khanda, but each reality which arises and falls away is khanda. So what is not khanda? Otherwise, it's only the word. It's not enough. That's why Buddha taught about the truth of a reality in all aspects. Not to misunderstanding or taking it for something or self. So what is not khanda?
I would say there's nothing. Everything is khanda.
How many realities are there? The absolute truth.
One reality at a time, yes.
Not at a time. How many?
Millions.
And are they all khandas? One by one?
Like you said, the past, the future, the yes.
Okay, so how many absolute realities are there? What Buddha enlightened?
So one.
But what did Buddha enlighten? The Four Noble Truths, what are they?
Dukkha, Anicca, yes. Anatta.
The Four Noble Truths. Not the three characteristics of Akhanda. How many truths are there as the noble truth of the enlightenment, moment of enlightenment? See, that's why that should be understanding of just one word clearer and clearer and clearer to understand that it cannot be anything or anyone. It's only that which arises and falls away only once in samsara, never again. To let go the idea of self, of what is taken for self now, little by little from hearing.
Tan, is any chitta which arises now a khanda?
I can just explain that because of the past, the future, and the present is a khanda, yes. No.
And what about now? Any chitta, seeing, hearing, any chitta, is any chitta a khanda?
No.
Yes. Any conditioned reality is a khanda. Any chitta is a khanda. Any cetasika is a khanda. Any rupa is a khanda, no matter it's right now or the one that went before or the one that hasn't come. When it arises, it's a khanda. So what is the absolute reality which is not khanda?
I'm not sure, yes.
If every conditioned reality is a khanda, what is the absolute reality which is not khanda? You can think about it.
Yes.
That's Nibbana, Sarah.
Nibbana. Nibbana is not khanda because it doesn't arise and fall away. So every other reality is khanda, but Nibbana, the one reality that is not conditioned, doesn't arise, doesn't fall away. So it's not khanda.
Okay, yes.
So that's the meaning of khanda, the reality which arises and falls away.
The absolute.
The absolute reality which arises and falls away. So concepts are not khandas. And Nibbana doesn't arise and fall away, so it's not khanda. But any
Yeah.
chitta, any cetasika, or any rupa is khandha.
Yes. Thank you.
And Leanne, did you have any more of your topics you wanted to bring up this time or not?
I think all of my questions
Everything is
have
okay.
been answered. Yeah, I thought you and John and Nina and a few other Dhamma friends hope to answer. So yeah, I just don't have anything in particular
Okay.
that
And
I'm
Nina,
thinking of. Yeah.
and Nina, did you have anything you would like to bring up today?
Well, I was so impressed by the dialogue between John and Ajahn. It was so very helpful because John kept on asking, there is something, what is that something? And he said, in daily life, people don't think so much about this is impermanent. How is that? And then Ajahn brought back to the present moment, asking, is reality arising and falling away at this moment? So that I found very helpful, many aspects. And also about what is impinging on the eye sense, and then seeing experiences, physical object. You have to hear this so many times, I realized, before it really sinks in. So Ajahn explained that the very tiny rupa impinges. It's not a whole body. I have heard it before. It was said many times, but suddenly it can make more sense. So hearing again the same is always so helpful, I noticed.
And that is panya. See, it can understand the subtlety of the rupa and the nama and the reality, and letting go the idea of just seeing is not self, it's just that which arises and falls away, and that it can experience object. That is not enough. That's why hearing again and again, bringing more moment of beginning to directly understand that until it's direct awareness of just one characteristic which appears, to learn to know what is meant by what we say for it cannot experience. It is that which is seen. See, that which is seen is seen. No one, nothing in it. And that is a higher understanding of the truth, which is now just like that. But when it's not enough panya at higher level, it can just understand that and know that it's not direct awareness and direct understanding yet. So panya can know everything as it is of any level, any degree. So truthfully, that's why one can see the depth, the subtlety of Dhamma, as Buddha said after his enlightenment. All Dhammas are anatta, so very subtle, very deep, very profound. So we learn to understand what is meant by that which arises to see and then falls away, letting go the idea of self from moment to moment, unknowingly from life to life. Not just, I will let go this and try so hard to let go that without any accumulation at all. How come for panya to understand this moment as that is only hardness, only when it appears is a truth? So do you have arms and legs and clothes or anything when it does not appear? Only thinking that it's there. But actually, nothing can just stay long at all. Just arise and falls away so rapidly that it covers up its truth by the succession of the rapidity from one moment to another moment. That's why we begin to understand the world of nimitta. We live blindly every day, not understanding, seeing right now as it is, or anything right now as it is. It is always something. That's why to have more confidence of the truth, it has to be listening again, considering again, and let go the idea of I try. See, I do, I would like to have. See, such idea can be just like reminder how much understanding is there. Even right now, no need to have anyone to tell you at all. It's one's own understanding.
There is one point. Do you have arms and legs when it does not appear? This may be very hard for people to accept, because in daily life they say we have arms and legs.
Just to be so truthful to this moment, Satya. Is it you who see, or it's only that which arises and see and falls away?
So it is seeing that sees, not
It's you who
I.
say, but it's you who say, seeing is seeing, or what is that which say? And is there any feeling, any sanya, memory? See, so many things unknown, covered up tightly, so tightly from day to day, until hearing the teaching and has more confidence on the truth. There is nothing, and then something, and then nothing. So soon as it has arisen, nothing again. See? So where am I? How can it be permanent as I see? Not at all. And this is letting go. When there is the understanding from the very beginning of studying the teachings of the Buddha to understand the truth, to let go the idea of self, the wrong idea, misunderstanding, not understanding the truth.
That is very helpful what you say, that there is something and then nothing and then something and then it goes away immediately. So short. And I like it very much that you stress so much confidence in anatta. You have said that so many times. It's so important to have confidence in anatta.
Otherwise, nothing can lead to understand the truth at level of enlighten the truth as it is. So we can understand the word of enlightenment and intellectual understanding and the developing the bhavana, what is meant. See, each word of the Buddha can be understood when we study carefully of each one, like the depth or the subtlety of reality. Is it not subtle? It arises and falls away now, unknowingly, see. And even while one talks, there is seeing all the time. How come? Different moment, see, seen together, appear together, but nothing is there, only that which arises and falls away. And this is the way to let go wrong understanding and the idea of self by accumulation, not at once, but it's there from moment to moment. After moment of understanding, it can be moments of a kusala to be understood as not me, not self, not anything permanent in the day, from day to day, from life to life, until panya understand clearer and clearer, more confidence, which condition moment of direct awareness at any time who know by conditions to have more understanding, more firm confidence of the truth. No one can do it, anything at all. No question about how can I and how should I, see? All can be the answer of how much understanding is there. by yourself, by panya, not the others' panya. Because we usually think about the others, citta or cittasika, see, or rupa. But what about now, what we take for self? No understanding of anything at all. So how can there be such understanding when we think just about the other things so far away from here now at this moment? So the beginning has to be right beginning too. Otherwise, it will not lead to more and more understanding. It leads to more and more very, very tricky, lopa, unknown. Only panya can know it. It cannot be known now, whatever we are talking about, no matter it is mana or tulsa or what we would like to understand, but it cannot be known by oneself, but from understanding it more and more, so it can appear as it is. Because, for example, we're talking so much or many times about hardness and that which experiences hardness. It's now, see, while we are watching or taking a bath or whatever, cooking or whatever, see, all times are not self, but each different Dhamma, only once in samsara. Never to be that again at all. And this is true. That's why I consider about the truth more and more, and that is panya, which is rooted and cultivated little by little, unknown all the time, until conditions there for it, higher understanding arises to be direct understanding of that which arises with direct awareness. But in the beginning, it's so weak. That's why it's not vipassana jnana yet, but it's the higher degree than intellectual understanding, because it's there as object, which now is object, but no understanding. So it depends on understanding only to understand who's the Buddha.
You say in the beginning it is so very weak. So it's good to remember this. Otherwise we may be impatient that we have no arms and legs and we don't understand this yet. But it means we have to be more patient.
So
little by little, as you always say.
Unknown. So very little. When it's more than a little, it can be known. See, about understanding right now, again and again and again and again. And there is experience in hardness all the time, almost all the time, every time in a day. But it's not yet the moment of understanding. From hearing, oh, it's just there, only there, then, not more. And this comes from listen again carefully, wisely, to know that actually there is nothing. And it will begin to let go until understanding the precious moment of no I, no thing. Otherwise, it is the object of clinging because of ignorance. Different levels. That is the profundity and the subtlety of Dhamma. It needs more and more life, uncountable life. But panya doesn't mind at all, because it's understanding about no self who can do anything. The condition is understanding the word, the same word, more and more subtle. Like the arising and falling away is this moment, see? So where is that which has fallen away? Can that be taken for I? It's gone completely, never to arise again. And this kind is quite a relief or relaxed. Letting go. Not as so heavy as before. Try so hard to experience this or that. So the meaning of letting go, see, when it's there, it's different from other moment when it's not there yet.
Ajahn, can I ask a little more about nimitta? Ajahn, when we hear about nimitta and anupayanchana or signs and details, what is meant by nimitta and anupayanchana there?
Do you see anything now?
Yes, Ajahn, there is seeing.
Please tell me about it.
Um, a laptop and pictures and names and words and many things.
And more details about just one reality, one characteristic.
You mean one characteristic, say Nina's face? What do you mean,
About her
Ajahn?
shawl?
I didn't hear you, Ajahn.
What about her face and her shawl?
Yes.
Please,
Yes.
the detail.
She's wearing a blue shawl. And
So, by this way, you understand what's meant by nimitta and anupayanchana for everything.
I still do not understand. It seems to just be referring to as can be generally understood that when you see something and then think into more details about that thing, that is what is
So,
meant by
the
nimitta.
word does represent the detail of the nimitta.
The detail of the nimitta.
Anupayanchana, when you pay more attention.
Now, I remember once having the discussion, and Sarah was also there to talk about it. And I remember that when we talk about nimitta and upanchana, even the concept of anupanchana, for example, is actually still talking about nimitta.
That's why there are more meanings of just one word. Nimitta, as it not appear as shape and form or details yet. And nimitta as something is when it's the shape. And when it's the details of only that, it is anupayanchana.
And what I remember is that in fact that anupayanchana is still a lot of nimitta, thinking about many nimittas, right?
If there's no nimitta, can there be anupayanchana?
No. And now I'm thinking about in the Samanapala Sutta, when the bhikkhu is advised not to grasp at signs and details. There is it the same thing, same meaning?
When there are two things, which one you like?
One or the other?
How do you know that they are different?
Because maybe the color is different.
See, the nimitta and anupayanchana is depending on whether how much you pay attention to it or not. Even one leaf of tree, of leaf, see, or rose, or anything, of tablecloth, or the plate, or the taste of what you drink.
So Ajahn, is it fair to make the connection between Sankhara Nimitta, Nimitta of realities, with the idea of Nimitta and Anupanchana is that if there was no Nimitta of realities, there's no sign and no details. And that meaning of Nimitta as sign, is it exactly the same as Sankhara Nimitta?
Can only just one reality, only one, be object of understanding?
No.
That's why what we talk about the characteristic of anything which can be known as object to study or to understand. It is nimitta of that because the actual one has fallen away all the time.
And in the suitors, Sukhin, when it talks about not attending to the nimitta and upyanjana, it's because usually there is thinking with lobha instantly about the signs of the realities, about the visible objects, about this mango or that mango because of different color, different details, different shape. So usually one is obsessed or lost in the fantasy world, thinking about this sign and this detail or that one. So it's referring to the thinking of Loka about the different nimitta and upyanjana.
And when we say sign, it seems to be other than the meaning of Sankhara Nimitta. So is that correct, or am
The
I?
nimitta is the sign. The sign and shape is the nimitta and anupyanjana of the reality of the Sankhara Dhamma.
But just now, when I was asked to describe what I experienced, say looking at Nina, and then making out that she's wearing a blue shawl, it seems that from the detail into a blue shawl, there was also a concept of something.
Of course, when you describe it, but at this moment, what is seen, it just depends at this moment whether what is seen is whether there's any detail in what is seen or not, whether there's any noticing about the blue shawl or not at that moment. So it depends at each moment what is seen. But when we describe it and think about the blue shawl, of course, it's concepts about what has been seen already long since. But still, what is seen is what is seen. We can't hear you, Sukhin.
Sorry, what is seen is what is seen, and isn't that different from when it is something?
When it's something, then already it's an idea of what is seen. It's a shawl, it's a blue shawl, but still what is seen is just what is there. If every visible object was the same with no different details, then there couldn't be thinking about blue shawl or red shawl or the face of Nina or the face of Tadao. So the visible object is still the visible object that's seen.
Okay, now I'm reminded about another a reminder which is supposed to lead some understanding about nimitta, but I fail to understand right now, is that when you make distinction between Tadao's face and Nina's face, what are you referring to exactly at that moment?
When you're thinking now about, oh, Tadao's wearing a hat and Nina's wearing a shawl, it's thinking about the different images, numerous non-stop moments of thinking about different ideas, but still there had to be the visible objects and the nimitta and anupyanjana of different visible objects in order for that thinking about the different signs, the different details This is Tadao, this is Nina. We've lost you again, Sukin.
No, what I'm saying is that at this point, seems you're making a distinction between nimitta as in being able to distinguish between one phase and another phase from another phase. Because when it's just visible object, it's just visible object, but there seems to be something else in between. I mean, before there's actually thinking about this is somebody's face.
If Sanya didn't arise to mark the visible object just as it is now, just as it's seen, would there be any thinking about Tadao or Nina if it wasn't the seeing of different visible objects, each one marked by Sanya?
Yeah, but we don't, and we know that we don't confuse one with the other. I'm not going to, look at Tadao's face and call that Nina. And so we are saying that there is a difference.
Because at each moment of seeing, visible object seen is not the same, and Sanya is marking each reality that is experienced, each visible object that is seen. And because of different nimittas of what has been seen, there comes to be the thinking about Tadao and Nina.
Yeah, so that you're saying different nimittas. Now, there's one meaning
because of different
is
visible
that
objects. Yes.
I mean, no visible object is ever the same. It's always a different object.
Yes.
So even if I'm looking at a computer screen, it's never the same visible object that's experienced.
Right.
So there's one understanding, but there's another understanding which is, it seems to be you're trying to convey is that the computer screen is not the same as the phone screen.
Then
what
it's
is that?
thinking about an idea, but the visible object itself is not the same. And this is what leads to the experience of different nimitta and the different thinking of different ideas about what is seen and the different details of who is wearing what. And now what appears, just thinking and trying to work it out. So it has to come back to this moment. I'll let Ajahn add anything more.
Kun Sukin, what's meant by that which is seen?
What seeing sees. Ajahn,
Yes.
What seeing experiences is that which is seen.
Does it bring about the understanding of that which is seen now? That it's seen.
It should enough understanding.
Because you see that when just a moment, very short, different from other moment of thinking or hearing, and the object is only that which impinges on the eye base, otherwise it cannot be seen. So what is seen is that which is seen, nothing in it, no one in it, no shape, no form in it. So that kind which we call nimitta of reality is just a sign of that characteristic, but not as something. For seeing, it sees. Otherwise, no one can understand that characteristic which sees now as no self. So that which is seen, only it is seen, and it is seen cannot be anything at all. Beginning to understand what's meant by that which is seen, and the nimitta of that which is seen, not as anything, and then later as something, and later as So it's not that we now understand the characteristic which is seen as it is, but beginning to understand the meaning of that which use the word that which is seen. Only that. Otherwise, there must be something in it. I see a chair. It's not a chair, no shape as chair, but the sign of that which is seen is there to be studied, to be understood as no one in it, in truth, nothing at all, only it is seen.
So, Ajahn, when we are when we it's referred to that the someone's face is not the same as another person's face, it's because of different nimitta. Are we saying just a reminder that actually what's seen and has arisen and fallen away, and there's another moment of seeing that also has risen and fallen away? It's just different moments of seeing experiences different visible object.
Otherwise, there must be I or something there. But when the truth appears, little by little, as it is, until it shows up its characteristic which arise and falls away, no doubt about that. About any word which one has heard before, to understand the characteristic of what is there now, clearer and clearer. So how much ignorance is there? Panya knows that. That's why that is kind of letting go, to do something, to try to have more kusala, or try to condition to have more parami, but to understand this moment as it is, as no one there, not later, little by little, until it can appear only to panya, no one there, see, no one from the very beginning. And at moment of panya, understanding clearer and clearer until it can enlighten the truth.
It seems, Ajahn, that there is more ignorance than we know. I mean, it's just there's less understanding that we realize.
No matter what you are thinking now is conditioned. Without condition, there cannot be such thought at all. So no one at all depends on condition. That's why not understand that which hasn't arisen yet. What about understanding that which appears now that it has arisen and fall away all the time until it appears as no thing, no one. More understanding, more confidence on the truth of anatta, to let go the idea of self. Just for letting go.
So that understanding about anatta is just intellectual, and yet we hear about it being firm and strong. How can it be firm and strong as intellectual?
So long way from moment to moment, see? And moment of no understanding is more than moment of understanding. So we understand what it's meant by Khanti Parami, Viriya Parami, Satya Parami, Adhidana Parami, Nekkhamma Parami, and the Parami go together to let go ignorance, attachment, and all akusala, stage by stage. No one. The more there is no heaviness of I, quite a relief. No one. It can condition the understanding, not everything, the understanding of that which appears by itself, by conditions, by accumulation. More confidence and more confidence of no thing and no one at all. What is not known in everyday life begin to be object of understanding from hearing, considering, no expectation. Otherwise, it's not the way. Because, or it must be the way of letting go from the very beginning.
And I think sometimes when we just try to work it out, you know, what exactly is this, what exactly is that, and just, but what about this, what about that, then we forget all about just understanding at this moment. It's just thinking at that time, but it seems so important, the story, and we think because it's Dhamma that it really matters a lot, but the thinking and the lobha, the trying to get the answer, trying to get it straight, which leads to agitation, it's not known at all because we just think it's all about developing panya. So even then it comes back to this moment of understanding right here and now, and that is more precious than working out the story or anything else, because it's only the understanding right now of what is seen, what is heard, or thinking or attachment now that can actually lead to firmer and firmer understanding. So it always comes back to this moment. No matter the,
So, Ajahn, would it be correct to say that understanding understands what it can understand? What it can understand, what it cannot understand? Because as Sarah was saying, there's the trying to work it out at that moment. It's not understanding. So
if there are no conditions at this moment to understand what appears, then there are no conditions at this moment. But there's thinking, there's attachment, there are all kinds of other realities. So whatever appears can be understood right now, but it may not be what we would like to understand. But that's why earlier when Ajahn was speaking to Nina, and she said, when we say seeing sees, who is saying that? Is it just I repeating it, or is it panya? Or when we just try to work out the story, who is trying to working it out? Is it panya, or is it I who would like to know? So understanding just understands what it understands at this moment if there are conditions, but it has to be what appears now, anytime.
so no expectation.
No expectation, no minding whether it's this or that or what appears. That's what it always comes back to. Otherwise, it's I behind those expectations again. Thinking if I just work out this detail, there'll be more understanding. But what about understanding right now?
This is a very good point, because we expect certain answers and we are so absorbed in the story that we, like Sarah says, that we try to work out, and then we forget the real essence to understand this moment that always comes in. We want to know, and the story of it, very well said.
And I think it leads away from the path. It's a distraction. I mean, we can see when some people have discussions like on a discussion list and they just want to get the answer, but why does this, why that, why that? But what about understanding now? And it just leads to more and more agitation and disturbance when it's not the answer people would like to hear, instead of just understanding what appears at this moment.
So often people are disappointed when Ajahn answers, but she brings back to this very moment always. And then they're disappointed that they don't get the answer they expect.
And Alan, did you have anything you would like to bring up today, as we don't have much time? Or anyone else?
I was just, I was asked a question about where the Eightfold Path is mentioned in the suitors. And it occurred to me that perhaps, and I think I've heard this, that every every sutta implies the Eightfold Path, even if it's not mentioned. Would you say that was correct?
I think so, because even from the very first sutta, the Dhammacakka Pavattana Sutta, it's about the Four Noble Truths. And whatever we read about is about the development of Satipatthana, no matter whether the sutta is talking about different Vedana, or whether it's talking about different dhatus, whatever it is, it's talking about the understanding of realities. And that is the path leading to enlightenment, the development of Satipatthana. And the reason we have these discussions is because if there isn't the understanding of the realities of life now and the understanding, there is no I who can change my life or who can make kusala arise. There cannot be development of Satipatthana. There cannot be the understanding of what the path is. So no matter the topic that the Buddha taught about, it's always about the truth of realities, about life now. Without this understanding, no path, no noble truths at all.
In the first sermon of the Buddha, then, the Four Noble Truths, without the understanding of Dharma, the meaning of the word Dharma, it doesn't mean anything. So we discuss a lot about the meaning of Dharma. But when he first said that, the people listening wouldn't have, how could they have understood the meaning of Dharma?
Who are they and who are we? I let Ajahn answer anymore.
You ask me, so can I ask you? Just one word at a time. What are we talking about now? Dhamma, or path, or truth, or what?
We cannot understand the meaning of the Four Noble Truths.
Just one, please, at a time.
Okay, the meaning of the word Dharma is...
Okay, is the Dhamma now?
Yes.
You know what Dhamma is when you say yes.
I understand intellectually and also...
So what is Dhamma? What is Dhamma?
It is what is real, what it has its own characteristic.
What is Dhamma now?
Seeing, hearing.
Does it
touching.
arise?
Something which arises.
We are talking about seeing.
Yes.
Does seeing arise?
Yes.
Does it fall away?
Yes.
Do you like it to arise and fall away all the time? Not the same one, never to arise again.
Yes.
Just one moment in samsara. Do you like that? To be belong to you?
I like to see, but I don't understand that arising and falling.
You like to see what? See? Without the teachings of the Buddha, can there be the understanding of that which is seen as Ariya or path? See? So the path is the beginning to understand the truth. Otherwise, there cannot be the noble truth without understanding. So the understanding is the most precious in samsara, even just a moment. No one can take it away, but it cannot develop so soon because condition of akusala more than condition for understanding. Even when akusala arises, it's a time for condition to arise to know that that is not me, or akusala is there. Condition, how can I don't have such moment, see? So the understanding of each word as Dhamma, it means that no one and no thing. What appears is conditioned to be there. Arise, otherwise it cannot be there, and falls away because it's not there anymore. No one knows. Until it's the path of understanding the truth, until it's the moment of enlightenment, the truth, which is not just arising and falling away. More than that, to be vipassana jnana before the ignorance of which arises with wrong understanding can be eradicated perfectly, no more, absolutely. Now, it has to be now, because that moment can arise anytime, only by conditions. And this is Dhamma. Whatever is true is Dhamma. So no doubt about what's meant by Dhamma. And this is the condition for letting go the idea of self, very little at a time. Not as heavy as I would like to follow the Eightfold Path. And how can I do? No understanding of what is that. Even Dhamma can be developed to the degree of no I, no self, no thing. Not just by intellectual understanding, because it's there now. But ignorance covers up each moment because there are conditions for its arising. Until there are more conditions for panya, whatever is there, what is that is known, not by thinking, but by directly understanding, which has developed from hearing and developing from moment to moment, unexpectedly, uncontrollable. And this is the truth of Dhamma. And it is the first noble truth. But it's only intellectual level. But it can be more and more understood. And that's the way Dhamma develops, not I develop it.
So even the intellectual understanding can take many years to understand correctly.
Many lives.
Many lives, yeah.
Oh, many years ago. For example, now, seeing is there now. Just talk about it. Is there any moment of direct awareness of any reality right now? Not particularly on seeing, uncontrollable. So panya does not bring about any dukkha, like avijja, just be burnt by ignorance to take it for permanent I, self things all the time. Why it's not at all.
So, Alan, I mean, what you've heard and understood in this life would be a condition for in a future life when you're here to understand. I mean, it doesn't matter how long, but there would be understanding based on what you understood in this life and previous lives. But there are people who, even after hearing much, do not understand. So the difference is the understanding, as Sarah says, it's the accumulations. So when the people who heard, who were enlightened during the Buddha's times, they didn't have to hear much, but it was based on their previous understanding. So it's not a matter of hearing what word exactly, but the understanding and how much is the accumulated understanding, such that, for example, someone heard a few words and he was a sotapanna. That's because of his previous understanding. It's not like he remembered the word Dhamma. It's just that in that context, the word Dhamma, whatever rises has a cause and what ceases has its cause. He understood the overall, he had that overall understanding, so it clicked. I think that's what it is.
Yes, and I can see that in my own life, because very quickly I was interested in the Dharma, but others around me weren't at all. So that must come from, even though they hear the same thing, people hear the same words and I think, oh, this is really impressive. And yet everybody else around me was not impressed by it. So that's down to previous accumulation. Yes. So that's the answer really to that initial question is that it's the accumulation which can condition that immediate understanding of reality. Yeah.
There were reasons why he taught to those people, and because they were the ones who could appreciate it at that time.
Yes, yes. So he went direct to those people he knew who could understand it. Yeah.
Little dust in their eyes.
Yeah. But is it, if looking at the hindrances as to what prevents us from understanding, it's the intellectual understanding isn't mentioned really, is it? It's attachment is a hindrance, ill will is a hindrance, wrong view is a hindrance, but actually the intellectual understanding isn't a hindrance. The fact that people might be very clever or not so clever isn't really the hindrance, but what is the hindrance is
very strong clinging to the idea of I, that I can do, I can have more wholesomeness, I can direct life, I can control life. And it's very, very difficult to give up the idea of I that sees, I that hears, I that thinks, I that has some control now.
Yeah, so
I can work out the details and get the answer and develop understanding, or I can change my life around, or I can solve the problem through science. So the real hindrance is that strong idea of self.
Which all boils down to attachment.
With wrong view.
With wrong view, yes. So even somebody can be very clever, but they still have a lot of attachment to the idea of self or the idea of science that it understands more than it does 2,000 years ago. That's also a belief.
Or wrong understanding.
Yes, yeah.
So when it's clever in akusala.
Yes, it can be clever in akusala. Yes.
Clever attachment, very crafty attachment.
Yeah, and I think that I read in the Visuddhimagga that about being tangled, that the person who kind of becomes enlightenment disentangles this kind of web, this tangle of attachment, that it's a kind of intricate web, an intricate tangle of attachment, which is kind of broken down because it's there each moment. So when we're talking about arm and leg, that they last, that's a kind of web, an intricate tangle of attachment again, isn't it? The
web of wrong views, a web of clinging to the idea of utter.
Is there a word which is, because it's a sort of fabrication, isn't it? That the reality is not, the reality of the present moment is not hand or foot, it's hardness or what is seen or what is heard. But we have this idea of the hand and foot, leg, arm, table, chair lasting for some time. So it's a kind of fabrication of reality. Is there a word in the teachings for that fabrication?
Papancha with lobha, mana, or ditti.
Papancha. Yeah. So what's the meaning of papancha?
What you say, the fabrication, the proliferation, the thinking with attachment, the thinking with a wrong view, or the thinking with conceit.
Right.
Thinking about my precious arm and comparing my arm and clinging to the story of my arm, so lost in the world of papancha, proliferation or fantasy at that moment, at this moment.
And that, I presume, is why when we heard a couple of weeks ago that it's only through the Buddha's teachings that the present moment can be described accurately, because everyone else it'll always be something there.
And the tangles gradually disentangled and
yes,
little by little.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's my my question's over.
Ajahn, anything you would like to say at the end?
Just understanding only, which can eliminate and eradicate ignorance and attachment and all kinds of akusala. Because of no one, this should be remembered. Anytime when something is there any understanding of no I at that very moment? Not yet. So one knows that it cannot be changed from that moment to be something that you'd like to be because of no understanding of that as not me or anything at all. Only when it's there by conditions, which comes from now, the moment of understanding from time to time.
Thank you, Ajahn. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
Thank you.
ค่ะอาจารย์ค่ะ กลับแล้ว
Thank you, Ajahn. Bye bye. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jalkan, anyone, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.